Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus. It's an 1818 novel by Mary Shelley, and a good one, a classic for a reason. I will say that right now. I'm kind of surprised it took me this long to finally read it, though I've read several other Gothic novels at this point. This is, I should say, best defined as Gothic. It is not the first sci-fi novel. That is a rather anachronistic label for it, and if you want to play anachronism, there are earlier examples. But it definitely deserves much praise for what it is, and it is a wonderful Gothic novel. First, it was begun when she was 18. Shelley was only 18, and she published it when she was 20. It was inspired from an 1816 friendly competition to see who could write the best horror story between Percy Shelley, John Polidori, and Byron. And Polidori's isn't bad, actually. I'm not even sure what Byron or Shelley came out with this, and now that I think about it. Anyway, so I've read several of their poems. The novel opens with a few letters. It's this person writes to his sister about, this man wants to be an artiste, a poet. He brings suffering to himself to gain inspiration in a very romantic fashion. It's a little much, but now he's on a frozen sea journey to the North Pole. But he meets a figure, a potential friend, and his friend recounts some events, and that is the novel proper, is this recounting. But our main victors are Victor Frankenstein and his creation, the monster. Victor is Genovese. This is the later 17th century, so before the city joined the Swiss Confederation. And it's more focused on, I would say, this book on the horror, like Dracula or Carmilla, more than romance, say like Mysteries of Udolpho or Castle of Otranto. It's a bit more in the vein of, say, like Mystery of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, for example. This novel is quite a wrencher of emotions, I would say. It works really well throughout, and it's not super long either. Frankenstein, playing at God with his interest in alchemy, leading to his creation of the monster, is an interesting look of taking this romantic idea of magic, essentially, which was actually pretty common probably still in the Romantic era. This is early 19th century, after all, but less so now into our age of reason. So, and I would say Frankenstein's reaction from his success to flee is very interesting, right? Again, his idea of playing God, and he's not quite up for it. His creation reacts in a despicable but understandable way, in a sense, that of a spurned and unnatural child, a creature shunned by his creator. I do definitely think that the uncanny valley is definitely well delved into, and it's well enough on display, and even remarked upon, even, I think, by the text, or by the author in the text. The monster, in a sense, can be pitied at times, I would say more so at the start, though it kind of reminds me in a sense of like Grendel in John Gardner's Grendel, which is to say that Grendel's still the monster, and I still have a hard time connecting with this monster, right? I don't think any reader of this book would forget that the monster is a monster, okay? It performs terrible deeds, and not just once, but many times, knowing full well that it brings pain when it physically harms someone and ends up murdering them. It even goes out of its way to bring pain to people by murdering those close to it. It is a monster, okay? It is not the good guy. It is not the thing to be overly pitied in the novel. I think you can pity a little bit, but not overly much. It's still bad. So Frankenstein himself had seemingly become obsessed, and he's essentially created a demon in his arrogance. He rues over it ever after, and in this sense it is a story of consequence, and I feel Frankenstein is suffering the torments of hell, essentially before his physical death. I do think Shelley puts on a beautiful expose of language, typical of the Gothic, but done exceptionally well as here. Though there is little of, say, like Gothic architecture, which is really where the genre gets its name, but the farewell at the end is powerful, moving, and has this utter sense of the doomed. Lean from Lysium.